Ago.
Amen.
Good afternoon to you all. Wow, I didn't sleep well. Good afternoon to you all.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. You basically welcome home. You are still in the central region of Ghana. Assin Manso slave market and the Ancestral river site. This was a slave market that existed during the transatlantic slave trade. It wasn't the largest of the market, but Assin Manso became the busiest of the market because this was the only market that was closer to the three dungeons: Fort Amsterdam, Cape Coast, and Elmina. Captives that were captured from the north in chains and in shackles, barefooted and half naked, with no food, with no water, they walked for 700 miles of a journey. When you convert that into months, we are talking about 5 to 6 months of a journey, if all things being equal. Many historians estimated that from 40 to 60% of them died. But for me, I don't believe in that figures, because I believe more than the 40 and 60% died. Because when I walk for 20 miles with no food and no water, I can survive it. But they have to do so for 700 miles. They have to walk in pace until they landed here at the market. In Assin Manso, this was where they were given food to eat and they were given water to drink. Not because they wanted to feed them fat, but because they knew that the journey from the north to the market was very tough. Broken bottles was used on them in order to shape them, just for them to look good. They were made to walk all the way through the ancestral path to the river in order for them to take their last bath. At the riverside, it was when they went through their auction and they went through their branding. But those of your ancestors who could not continue the journey from here are those that remained on this land. For them, they were killed and buried from the edge of the grass all the way to the river. So everywhere here served as a burial site. That was why when you were coming through the main gate, the gate looked very short. So many of you entered like this. Yes, unconsciously, you already paid your respect to the land. The few ones that were able to continue with the journey are those that landed at the dungeons: Fort Amsterdam, Cape Coast, and Elmina, which many of you have already visited. When you got to the dungeons, did you see this door? The door of no return. When you got closer to that door, what did you see?
Water.
You saw water? What did you see?
Land and the boats.
Land and the boats. What do you see?
That's a big door.
Big door. That is what I will always entreat you. That whenever you visit places like that, don't visit as a tourist. Visit as one of your forebears. And you're going to understand everything about those places. Because this door of no return is not just a door. It was a policy from the Europeans. And their policy was, let's make sure when this group of people cross this door, they should never come back. And this door has been on us for the past 380 years. The door of no return. So the question is, how were they able to make sure that policy worked on us? It all started at the door of no return. That was when they took away the most important part of us. And do you know what that is? Our names. With African naming system, you don't have a choice. You are given life assignment. Your name should connect you to your community, your destiny, or your clan. So even if I don't know my brother, and he mentions his name to me, I'll tell you where he's coming from. So if all these names have been stolen away from us, where do we start? How do we know where we are coming from? When I give birth with you and we give birth, we name our child. Why? Because the child belongs to us. And it is only you and I that can write the history of our own child. That is why for the past 400 years now, these Europeans have been writing our own story. Because they believe because their names are on us, so they own us. The time has come for us to detach ourselves from those names. And we should be able to stand and write our own story. Because if the lion doesn't have his own storyteller, the answer would always be glorified. If the Europeans can write, we can write better. And if they can lie, we can lie better. So the time has come for us to change the narrative and tell our own story. But in order for that story to be told, a curse needs to be broken first. And that curse is the door of no return. That door needs to be changed to the door of return. Because words are very powerful. But the question is, how can this door of no return be changed? But those that have already visited the dungeons, they told you about the remains of 2 of our ancestors that was brought back through the door of no return in order to get it changed to the door of return. Now those 2 of our ancestors are those you could find in the graveyard. From the left, Madam Crystal from Kingston, Jamaica. And in the middle is Samuel Carson from New York, US of A. Now Madam Crystal was a young beautiful lady who was captured from here by landed in Jamaica as a slave African. Hi. I'm going to